Yo, what up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Teethdaggers. Today we're going to be watching the dark and disturbing downfall of Howard Stern by Patrick CC. Patrick CC's newest video. The question is, will this be another drama farm for content? I don't know. Let's find out here on Teethdaggers.
Howard Stern dominated radio for over 40 years, earning nearly $1 billion while developing a reputation as the biggest shock jock of all time. But the term shock jock is simply not strong enough to describe the absolutely atrocious, wicked, and downright degenerate behavior he has exhibited on his show.
Guys, I already want to call Drama Farm just from that content. You know why? Everybody knows about edgy content already, and everybody knows about when the time it was around, and everybody knows that Howard Stern was around that time. So this guy is picking one edgy guy, just like everybody else does for these drama farms, like iDubbbz, like the old iDubbbz versus now, or the evil come up of this guy, even though that guy is already famous. Listen, it's hard not to call these videos drama farm or clickbait because they have to make an entertaining title for an entertaining video. It's not that this video is not entertaining, but they have to make a good enough fucking title for it. And everybody right now that stays online for the most part knows about quote-unquote edgy content. So this guy's just picking one of those motherfuckers out. I have to say that again, I think. I'm not in a minute into the stream. 1 second. So this guy's just picking another one of those drama dudes out, or not drama, edgy dudes. So this guy's just making drama content out of another one of those edgy dudes.
Blatant racism, to suggestive language about minors, to public humiliation, and even toying with deceased human remains. There is nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, that Howard won't joke about. If you think there is a moral line that can't be crossed, Howard has skipped 100 yards past it. But recently we have learned that Howard is not proud of his legacy. He is disgusted by it. The changed man has reflected on his problematic past in therapy, and today sees himself as a progressive beacon of moral righteousness.
Is he changed for himself, or is he changed because he's a social media professional and right now it's more popular, you'll get more viewers, and you won't get canceled if you change? Maybe he was afraid of getting canceled.
Howard doesn't want you to look into his past because you might find out that his words and actions were always used to protect his giant mountain of gold. So today we are going to dive deep into the twisted world of Howard Stern, the most controversial man in entertainment history. The King Schmaltz Bagel Hour was the name of Howard Stern's weekly comedy show on Boston University's radio station WTBU. However, the show was canceled during its very first broadcast due to a racial sketch titled Godzilla Goes to Harlem. It's clear from the very beginning that Howard had an affinity for controversial humor and was eager to share it on air. Radio was his dream job, and the Mount Everest peak of radio was in New York City.
So there, he said it himself. Patrick CC said that he liked making edgy content. So how is it dark and disturbing if it's purposefully edgy? This video should be titled, Howard Stern likes making dark and disturbing content on purpose. But that probably wouldn't get that many clicks. Or this video should be called, Howard Stern is another edgy person from this era. But that definitely would not get clicks. Besides his subscribers. And that's why Patrick CC is lucky to have so many subscribers. He's not lucky. He worked hard for it and he deserves it. But yeah, his subscribers would boost his videos so he doesn't have to be as clickbaity as somebody without subscribers or with very few subscribers. And that's just what it is. You could hate me for it, but it is what it is.
so a job there became his ultimate goal. After college, Stern bounced around radio stations all over the East Coast, but eventually landed a stable job in 1981 in Washington, D.C., hosting morning radio at WWDC. Stern knew this job was a big enough resume booster to eventually land him in New York. He knew he needed to be rambunctious to dominate his competition, but he couldn't do it alone. Building a team was very important. He connected with his co-host Robin Quivers. Stern's team loved Robin's laugh and thought she would be a perfect fit for Howard to riff with. She could serve as an effective counterweight to Howard's often racially charged antics.
That's true, yo. I'm not dissing this time. Everybody has like crazy laughing tracks and stuff to like hype up the crowd, or music and stuff like that. And that was his version of like background noise that people could still listen to him and hear his ideas reflected off of that, and then also have background noise. That's really actually smart. Holy shit.
Management liked the idea of pairing the controversial Jewish guy from New York with the black woman from nearby Baltimore. With his dream team assembled, Stern was feeling cocky, and he let his listeners know immediately that he was not your typical radio host. In his very first broadcast at WWDC, he called the office of Mayor Marion Barry and yelled at the assistant who answered the phone to explain what kind of man calls himself Marion. That's a girl's name, Howard insisted. On the second day, he rang a local high school and proposed that students be given the day off to celebrate his arrival. His on-air stunts forced the station to install a 7-second delay to contain his spontaneous and irreverent outbursts. Just in case they needed to silence his audio. And it took him less than 1 year to get into some controversy. In 1982, an Air Florida jet crashed into the Potomac River, killing 78 people. The very next morning, Howard Stern called the airline and inquired about the price of a one-way ticket from National Airport to the 14th Street Bridge. His unpredictable behavior quickly made Stern one of the top-rated personalities in Washington radio.
Man, when I get to your age, I hope they shoot me. Why am I different from other DJs? Yeah. Because I fart on the air.
Dude, he's not even that edgy, to be honest. He's just making fun of people who made terrible mistakes, and the edgy part about it was how terrible the mistakes is, and he's just talking about it.
What? I fart on the radio.
Howard joked on everything and everyone equally. No race.
And how is this a downfall if this is the upbringing part right here? But I guess this part isn't dark and disturbing, so he's got me there. I'm just trying to be extra critical. Think for myself for this.
So religion was singled out. Some people loved it and others hated it.
What do you do for a living? Look at this, I just want to say something. A black woman and a white man shaking hands in Washington. Who says there's racial problems, man? Who says there's racial? Get your hand off me! You'll catch some kind of disease. Come on over here. You're a young person, are you?
Yes.
Or are you impersonating a young person?
I'm a young person.
You are a young person? You know who I am?
No.
You ever listen to my show, Howard Stern Show?
Yes.
You do? You like it?
Not particularly.
No, what don't you like about it?
You're rather crude.
I'm rather crude?
Yes.
Oh, how do you mean? Give me an example.
You're rather disgusting, and I don't care to give you an example.
Even though Howard was a liability at times, WWDC was impressed with the jump in ratings and offered him an extension in his contract. But Stern's dream was to work in the New York City radio scene. WNBC in New York offered him a 5-year, $1 million deal, so he followed his heart.
We're all just getting to know one another. It's beautiful. This is WNBC. It is 7 minutes after 4 o'clock. NBC figured that they'd put me on in the afternoon, increase their ratings, and save AM radio. So we're going to sit here all day, wait for the phones to ring. We have a lot of celebrities who are going to call in. It's going to be exciting, Neil, and this should be quite a momentous occasion.
Stern was now in his home city, working his dream job, and with that momentum, he boosted NBC's ratings with ease. But the prim and proper network tried to control Stern and minimize his controversial content. Howard was always quick to make fun of the network he was employed by, which obviously bothered them.
There's this one bathroom at NBC, it's down the hall from my office, that, every drug user in the building uses because it's the only private bathroom. So now they broke the lock on the door so people can't lock it.
I know.
So that the NBC security people go in and bust drug abusers.
It was this 3-year stretch where Howard was approaching A-list fame. His frequent appearances on Late Night with David Letterman increased his visibility nationwide.
I'm kind of strange on the radio, and I'm not a good disc jockey. I don't play records. That kind of thing.
Well, now, why is that? Why don't you play the records?
Because I basically hate the music that NBC plays. The station was Station was in the toilet bowl before I got there, and if I continued to play the music that they played, it would have been probably dead last in the ratings.
Although fans loved him making fun of his own network, he knew it was reaching a tipping point.
I am probably on a roll right now that will get me fired within a year or so. I will probably be fired, but I'm willing to accept that.
Despite
I think he was trying to get fired since he's trying to be in New York. That's what this guy is leading up to.
this being his dream job, Howard was basically asking to be fired, and he would get exactly what he wanted.
WNBC issued the following press release this afternoon. As of today, Monday, September 30th, WNBC has canceled the Howard Stern program because of conceptual differences that exist between Howard Stern and WNBC management.
It isn't exactly clear why Howard got fired, since the ratings for his show were through the roof. Some people think it's because of an on-air sketch that he did about bestiality, but it could have just been some uptight executive at NBC that felt Howard was ruining the network's image.
So far, the worst thing he could say in the title is the disturbing upbringing of Howard Stern. Because he already had mentioned that Howard Stern is sitting on a gold pile or something like that earlier. And that's his quote. That's Patrick CC's quote. So if he's sitting on a gold pile and he's as old as he is, he didn't really have a downfall. He's just retiring at most. But is he retiring?
To tell you the truth, right now I am looking for a job. I would love to hear from everyone. My agent is Don Buckwell. Please give me a job. I want to get back on the air in New York.
Stern's numbers spoke for themselves. He quickly got another job at WXRK in New York and dominated for years. His appearance on The Tonight Show in July of 1992, where he looked like nothing short of an 80s rock star, was crucial to his nationwide visibility. When Howard is on your show, he takes control and dominates the conversation. On the show, he announced his very first feature film.
I'm excited to announce that I have signed with New Line Cinema.
What's the name of the movie? What's it about?
Well, it's called The Adventures of Fartman.
And 2 months after this interview, Fartman would descend from the heavens above as he made his official debut at the MTV Music Video Awards.
Allow me to demonstrate the greatest farting powers of all!
Howard was officially an American sensation by the end of 1992. His show was the #1 radio show in Los Angeles and New York City simultaneously. He held a 6.4% share of the LA market while holding 9.4% in New York.
Alright guys, so this video is actually so far all his upbringing. Let's try to skip a little far ahead to where it's not his upbringing. Let's see. Here we go. This looks like it's his own Howard Stern show. So let's skip to like 12 minutes in and see what they're saying.
Governor of New York. He secured the required 2/3 majority votes, receiving 287 of the 381 votes cast.
Alright, so it's still his upcoming. He made it to the governor of New York. It was easy to skip all that. Know that it's still talking about his upcoming. It looks like he did a concert of some sort or a live performance. Oh yeah, he did do a concert. Boom. He was on Rolling Stones. So now we're all cut up.
But had to drop out of the race because he wouldn't complete a financial disclosure form required by the Ethics in Government Act. He said, "I've been telling you about myself since the first day I started broadcasting. There's only one fact I never revealed. I never told you how much money I made. I never told you how much money I have in the bank. And the reason I never told you is because it's none of your business."
Yeah, but it could be estimated. And that's what we looked up here. Howard Stern net worth. So, like, there's a bunch of websites. This one says 650 million. This one says 900 million. This one says 650 million. This says 690 million. This says 920 million. Let's just say it's, all these are wrong. Let's say it's $420 million. Okay, $420 million. Not exactly a downfall. Let's get right back into the video.
news. Out of all the horrible things that Howard has said and done, it's interesting that where he draws the line is telling you how much money he makes. And Howard had no intentions of toning it down, but his show was starting to get dark. Deborah Debbie Tay was a frequent guest on the Howard Stern show, but fans of the show called her the space lesbian because
It was just starting to get dark when he's talked about everything at this point, including bestiality, like Patrick C.C. mentioned.
she would tell stories on the air about her being abducted by aliens and having sex with the female aliens. Miss Tay was showing signs of suffering from mental illness, and her frequent drug use added more stress to her condition. Sadly, in April of 1995, Debbie's boyfriend Chauncey Hayden called the show to tell Howard that Miss Tay passed away from a heroin overdose. Howard then invited Chauncey to the show the next day for an In Loving Memory episode for Debbie. Chauncey brought Miss Tay's cremated ashes in a box to the studio. While Stern did dedicate the show to her memory, he also made some rude comments and remarks, suggesting he would glue her back together, and then asking Chauncey to chew pieces of the bone fragments. Howard then requested the box of her ashes and let the audience know they would be opening Debbie later on.
I figured I'd want to see her, you know, so without further ado, maybe open the box and let me take a look at Debbie in her final resting place. So that's Debbie, huh?
You're doing weird things.
Wait, Debbie wants to say something.
Even for the 90s, picking up and shaking
That is fucking gross. Something about that made me feel weird.
human bones was pretty grim. You could tell the crew was mortified.
Dude, I don't know, man. This is really wrong.
You think so?
Yeah. Debbie would
What do you mean
love
it's
this.
wrong?
Debbie would...
Well, he's edgy, so I don't think it's wrong because that's his content, and he's making sure not to get canceled by staying in that lane, right? Only trying to get the people who can handle it. It's not wrong, but it's fucking intense, dog. Maybe I'm not one of the people who can handle it.
would love this. You know it.
What do you mean it's wrong?
This is heavy
That's
metal,
Debbie.
dude.
Look at that. Ow, ow.
Let me see. I gotta come over and see Debbie for me.
I wonder if it was just a play, though, like a skit. That would be a crazy skit, though. So either way, I guess it would be crazy. But I believe, I'm going to say it now, I believe that Neon is doing all the stomach issue and all the breakup and all the cheated on me while I was in the hospital as a skit. He might have actually gone to the hospital. I didn't look into it. I'm going to have to do research. But I think the rest was a skit, right? Like, alright, you're going to cheat on me in the hospital. And then that Jack Doherty guy, she was my old girlfriend. She always comes back or something like that. That was all the fucking skit, bruh. Jack Doherty hooked up Neon with that woman in the first place. So that is what I'm saying. People do death skits all the time. Like Neon, that's how I'm relating these two videos. So it started to get dark right now. I want to see the downfall. So he has the Howard Stern show. Let's go ahead and keep watching this to see what the backlash was.
I wasn't ready. I thought I was ready.
You want to come over and visit?
My knees are getting weak again.
Oh, man. Oh, man. There's a lot of her in this.
When he shakes it, it like makes me sick.
A solemn moment.
I thought there was...
What do you think this is of her? Do you think that's her head?
Howard then proceeded to pick up and inspect every piece of bone while speculating what part of her body it was. While all of this unfolded, Debbie's brother and sister Jeff and Melissa listened in horror as their late sister's remains were being played with, live on air. This situation prompted the siblings to file an $8 million lawsuit against Howard Stern and Infinity Broadcasting.
Alright, so that's what happened. Now, let's skip ahead. We're trying to get to the downfall here. So far, we're like 15 minutes up, and it's only been the come up. It's still the lawsuit right here. Alright, I guess let's play it from here.
And confidential. A court source revealed that lawyers for Tay's family were smiling as they left the courthouse. It's clear why many people believe that Howard took this way too far, but defenders blame Chauncey for bringing in the remains and allowing Howard to get his hands on them. Regardless, the entire situation should have never happened, because in Howard's style of comedy, not even deceased people were safe from jokes, especially not the beloved, iconic 23-year-old Mexican-American singer Selena, who
There we go. I thought it was talking about that already at this part, but I should have recognized that guy's face.
was tragically shot and killed by a crazy fan in Texas in 1995. The next morning, Howard proceeded to play her music with gunshot sounds in the background, then repeating over and over how much he hated the music while mocking Hispanic people.
Spanish people have the worst taste of music. They really do.
They don't like depth.
No, they don't like any depth. It's all like, you know, let's dance and pretend that every human being in our country isn't corrupt.
Keep in mind, Stern
Dude, this guy is playing this weird drama music in the background to make it seem like back then there wasn't these edgy creators, man. Even though earlier in the video he said that he was trying to be fucking edgy. This guy is literally... Dude, don't you guys see why I say they're drama farming? They're creating drama out of stuff that's already been known. Like, this is super long time ago. And freaking way back in the 90s, there was this type of edgy humor. And it just kept on going on until recently, where everything was cancel culture, right? So this guy Patrick CC waited till cancel culture to put out this video. People are also attracted to like the most negative titles, so he had to. Patrick CC is smart. He had to do what he had to do.
Show was broadcasted in Texas at the time, where Selena was slain. Outrage erupted, with Hispanic leaders in Texas threatening to boycott radio stations that air Howard Stern, but he never apologized, because he stood firm in his belief towards racist humor.
Alright, okay, so far we got that he's doing racist humor and weird bestiality jokes and like playing with dead people. Alright, so let's move on.
12. And you're wondering why you do it?
I have a pretty good idea.
Why?
I think I just do it for the sense of the power.
Howard proceeded to have a 10-minute conversation where Clay admitted to how he slayed prostitutes in the New Orleans area. Clay answered every question precisely, with no hesitation. The FBI contacted Howard after the phone call for a copy of the conversation, but still to this day, we have no idea if it was a skit or not.
So just to get you caught up, what we're watching right now is a little skit Howard Stern did on his show about a murderer who called in, but it might have not been a skit. They just never caught the murderer. Let's see if it goes into detail.
This middle ground / gray area of not clarifying what is a joke and what is serious played a huge part in Howard's popularity. Over the years, he was establishing a legacy group of reoccurring guests called the Whack Pack. These individuals had a signature.
I guess they never ever found out.
Trait, skill, disability, or unique personal appearance that made them essentially characters in the Howard Stern community.
Alright guys, we are almost 18 minutes in, and we are still at the come up of Howard Stern. Where's the... Okay, look here. Stern blasted for his comments about the Columbine school tragedy. This was so long ago. I feel like this is still his come up. Let's see.
Controversy of all time. The Columbine High School shooting occurred on April 20th, 1999 in Columbine, Colorado. Two students, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, carried out a mass shooting at their high school, killing 12 students and a teacher, and injuring many others. The two then removed themselves from the planet. The Columbine High School shooting nearly 30 years later still remains one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history. And in true Howard Stern fashion, the day after the shooting, he was talking about it on his show and had some very interesting things to say.
There was like really good looking girls running out of there with their hands over their heads.
Yeah, I think the bomb teams are still working.
Did those kids try to have sex with any of the good looking girls? They didn't even do that. At least if you're going to go yourself and kill all the kids, like, why wouldn't you have some sex?
Yeah, I would think so. I would want some sex stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, if I was gonna people would take him out with some sex.
It's unclear if Howard's comments about the tragedy, or any other tragedy, are intentionally to cause controversy, or if it's his way of coping with the horrifying reality.
It's intentionally to cause controversy. Patrick CC knows this. He's a famous YouTuber. He knows all this. He knows what he's doing. This is all drama farm clickbait content, but it's not bad content just because of that.
The Denver Rocky Mountain News released a statement reacting to his comments. Either we are serious about showing respect for the dead and their families, or we aren't. Either we care about the quality of our culture, or we don't. Let Howard Stern make his millions in other broadcast markets. He does not belong in Denver. Many people believe that there is a clear line to be crossed when coping with such atrocities. Making jokes, they believe, is crossing that line. It minimizes the damage done to the victims and their families. But comedy defenders believe that jokes and laughing is a way to prevent people from spiraling into a depression every time they turn on the news or open social media, since violence, murder, and all of the most heinous things that happen in our world are constantly being broadcasted to you.
Now he just took like a normal clip that you could buy off a website of like a crime scene, and he put it in there for dramatic effect.
Radio channel rebroadcasting Stern's show in Denver was requested to drop it, and both houses in the state passed a measure to formally censor Stern for his remarks. Many advertisers cut ties with Howard over the comments. Additionally, his personal life was falling apart. Howard admits that his behavior was very difficult for his wife and 3 daughters to handle throughout his career. After 21 years of marriage, they mutually agreed a divorce was necessary. The now 45-year-old bachelor was on a warpath of sex and destruction. Now keep in mind that Howard's entire persona for 2 decades was the common suburban dad with a wife who stayed up late at night to talk about all of the raunchy things he wouldn't dare say at the dinner table.
Nice! I think we're about to actually get into Howard Stern's quote-unquote downfall. Finally! 22 minutes in.
The majority of his fan base were probably men who would never admit to their wives they actually love Howard. Now he was just another multi-millionaire celebrity who was sleeping with different models every night. His image was ruined. His show was losing its creativity. Ratings were dropping exponentially, which led to some of the lowest moments in his career. In the year 2000, Howard seemed to start an obsession with the then 14-year-old Full House stars Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. While on his show, Howard started to share a story about having his 7-year-old daughter over to spend time with him. Looking for activities, Howard suggested a recently released Mary-Kate and Ashley movie for him and his daughter to watch together. He then goes on to make blatantly suggestive comments about the twins.
Remember the 2 little girls from Full House?
Sure.
Well, now they're like 13, and they're pieces of ass.
Oh, yeah, I've seen pictures of it, because they...
And normally I don't...
What the fuck? Damn, he's really brave with his like edginess, I guess. Jesus.
Look at a 13-year-old and sexualize them. I don't. But these 2 are pieces of ass. They're grown up perfect. Are they budding yet? Yeah. Oh. Their boobies are out.
Ew,
Stay Puffy 42,069 said, "Yo WTF, did I stumble on tears of joy?"
We're watching the dark, disturbing downfall of Howard Stern. I didn't believe it was gonna be like this. This part's weird and disturbing. I got genuinely disturbed.
So, I mean, and don't get me wrong. I'm not into 13-year-olds.
Well, yes, you are.
But, I don't know.
You can't say you're not.
No, I'll tell you why I'm not.
On about the Olsen twins.
I don't look at them like, oh, gee, I want to have sex with them. But I look at them and I go, man, they're going to be great when they're adults.
At the time, Howard being around...
So fucking weird, but, you know, people did say that for controversy on purpose, like as out of like a joke, like a dead baby joke, for example, like a shock value joke. I'm gonna call it out as a shock value joke, and I don't think this might not actually be his downfall.
around 45 years old, making comments about teenage girls is very alarming. Again, even if he is joking, he is potentially justifying this type of mentality that some men his age might consider to be normal. And 2 years later, his thoughts on the 16-year-olds had not changed.
My 9-year-old is way into the Olsen twins. I mean, has every one of their tapes, knows everything about them, loves them. But doesn't love them the way I love them. I love them because they're going to be hot.
The dark reality is that Howard's feelings towards the twins were unfortunately common. Celebrity birthday countdowns were a popular internet trend where people would anticipate a celebrity's 18th birthday to legally justify their creepy fantasies. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen's 18th birthday was accompanied by no less than 7 websites dedicated to counting.
Alright guys, we get the point. We're gonna skip this part. We're gonna go to the next part of the downfall. Let's see. Maybe it's right here.
And then we'll have an over-under. That's all.
No.
Why not? Why not?
I'm not gonna get on a scale if you gotta weigh me.
They proceeded to set up a game where they placed bets on how much Anna Nicole weighs.
Alright, well, we skipped a little bit into it, but it looks like Anna Nicole's weight was his next drama. Let's see why that was so bad. I think I'm gonna go back to calling out this drama farm. This was fucking weird and disturbing, which is right here. So he could have put disturbing in the title, but so fucking weird I wanted to skip it.
He got Anna on the show, he doubled down.
If we weigh you now, I'll give you $3,000 courtesy of i1.com and Trim Spa.
So that wasn't good entertainment. So that case, the title doesn't do what I said it's supposed to do. It is an entertaining title, but that part and the bone part wasn't fucking entertaining. It wasn't something I could watch and eat and smoke bowls and be cozy to. It gave me weird chills. It made me uncozy.
Plus an Xbox for your son.
Nope, not enough.
Anna would not give in, so Howard...
But he did warn us in the title that it was dark and disturbing, though. So I'll give him the point. I won't give me the point at all. I won't even call it even. I'll say he gets the point for that. But most of the time I get the points.
Kept pushing her. For the next 5 minutes, he kept harassing her, and if they got off the topic of her weight, he would just bring it back.
Do you want to go in the bathroom with Benji right now?
No, but I'm here for the weekend, and maybe we can go have dinner.
Ooh. Oh my God.
You think dinner is for the two of you? Do you think maybe pass on the dinner and maybe go out and exercise? Seriously.
You're so pathetic.
Is that wrong?
Does that make you feel so much better about yourself?
Please let me weigh you. I'll give you $3,000 for your son.
You're feeling so good right now.
No, I'm not. I don't feel good until I get you weighed.
It's pretty clear this interview took place during a rough part of Anna's life, as she struggled with drugs and alcohol for many years. Despite this, she stood firm and refused to give Howard the satisfaction of breaking her down. Luckily for the fandom, Howard added a new consistent member to the show, Artie Lang, who was a stand-up comedian and huge fan of the show.
Okay, so that actually proves that he had a super famous person, and he keeps on having famous people, and this is his quote-unquote downfall. We already looked at the money he has now. It says $600 million. Some of them said $900 million. I decided $420 million because the smallest amount was $600 million on all the websites we looked at. This is definitely no downfall. We're going to have to skip past this guy. I don't care what it says. Right now, he's still having famous people on. Look! This is another fucking Jim Carrey motherfucker. Let's start with this then.
How some people in the crowd looked. This just seemed like straight up bullying. Also in the early 2000s, celebrities became more of a prominent part of Howard's program. He interviewed a wide variety of different...
Okay, so it keeps going. He keeps getting bigger. We're 26 minutes in, and this is the uprising. Downfall is just a better way to get clicks. 26 minutes in, out of a 36-minute video. This is the uprising. He's still with fucking celebrities.
and stars The Rock, 50 Cent, Tobey Maguire, Gene Simmons, Vince McMahon, Matthew McConaughey, and as the years went on, he became a go-to platform for celebrities to openly discuss some of their deepest secrets. Unfortunately for Howard, there was a major cultural change in 2004 after the Nipplegate Super Bowl halftime show controversy. Janet Jackson's breast was exposed in front of hundreds of millions of viewers, which sent the media into a frenzy due to outraged citizens. The FCC started censoring anything and everything they deemed indecent or unfit for mainstream media. 3 weeks after the Super Bowl, Howard's show was suspended for indecency after an interview with Rick Salomon. Rick was Paris Hilton's ex-boyfriend and the man involved in her infamous tape that was making the rounds on the internet. A listener called into the show and used the N-word with the hard R. By this point, this seems like nothing compared to the decades of disgust Howard has aired on his show. But this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Howard Stern was officially cancelled. Well, not really. Double check and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Later in the year, Howard announced the signing of a 5-year, $500 million deal with Sirius Satellite Radio.
Whoa, $500 million is almost all his money he has now, according to those websites. But I think it was $420 million, so that means he spent some money.
Satellite radio is not mandated by the FCC, so his battles with the government are officially over. Granted, the viewership would decrease significantly since viewers have to pay a fee to access satellite radio, but Howard had secured a die-hard fan base during his career, and millions of those fans bought subscriptions to the radio just for him.
I know somebody who bought the subscription to the radio.
This was a rebirth for Howard. He now has a wide open door to say and do whatever he wants with no repercussions, and as we know, Howard will take that to a level nobody could ever imagine.
Okay, so the whole time, it's just his upcoming up. He just made $500 million.
Allow me to introduce the It's Just Wrong show, easily the most abhorrent segment he has ever done. The It's Just Wrong show had just 4 episodes: father-daughter, brother-sister, mom-son, and mother-daughter. Though real-life family members would have to answer trivia questions for a chance to win a cash prize of up to $10,000. But if they answer the question wrong, the male counterpart would have to take off a piece of their mother's, sister's, or daughter's clothing.
Ew. Weird.
The winner was the one whose partner is the last to get completely naked. Sometimes this was fathers undressing their adult daughters completely nude, or brothers undressing their little sisters nude in front of everyone in the studio and to the millions watching at home.
So fucking weird. Why did these people do that?
You think it can't get worse? It does. Near the end of the show,
that's not Howard Stern's fault. He said just do it, and they did it.
Usually when everyone was naked, Howard and the crew would start throwing around money saying,
There, Valerie, as much as I'd love to hand you over the money, I mean, you wouldn't let your father spank you for $3,000, would you?
For $3,000?
Yeah. Naked over his lap? That would be really bizarre, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be
a little too much.
Or in one episode, he paid sisters to let their brothers get a handful of their breasts.
Whoa, what the fuck? Why would he want to?
Now these were all consenting adults who knew the rules of the game and went into it knowing the rules of the game.
Holy shit, see, that's not Howard Stern's fault. Why did they do all that though?
Some of those creepy dads seem to like the game a little too much. However, it just goes to show how desperate some people were to earn money, willing to humiliate themselves on camera for the entire world to see. Sadly for his fans, but possibly good for the rest of humanity, Howard Stern finally started to tone down his content. Many people believe around 2009 or 2010 his glory days were behind him. He was done with the overly raunchy and edgy skits. The Whack Pack would not make regular appearances, nor was he trying to introduce new characters for the fandom. His beloved co-host Artie Lang was struggling harder than ever, using hard drugs, going to rehab, relapsing, and starting all over every few months. His battle with depression almost ended everything in 2010. Although Howard wanted to support his friend, he didn't feel like letting him back on the show would aid in his recovery. Fans believe once Artie left, the show wasn't worth watching anymore. And this was sort of confirmed in a 2013 staff meeting that was leaked online, where fans came to the conclusion that Howard was not even close to the crude-humored legend he used to be. In the meeting, he berated his staff for over an hour on all of the things that they were doing wrong. Howard did not want them coming up with funny content and skits like they used to.
He just turned into a grumpy old man.
Instead, his entire focus and goal was to convince more A-list celebrities to come onto his show.
We've had people like Billy Corgan come in and their album goes into the top 10. We've had books.
And now he just wants retirement money, so he wants famous people to go there. It's just as simple as that.
That have gone into the top 10. We're pretty amazing. But nobody knows it. We're now on satellite radio. And now that we're in satellite radio, we're in sort of our own little protected bubble. But what's happening is people are forgetting that this is the best fucking medium for any guest to be booked on. Whether they're in the field of books, whether they're in music. Look at what we do for guests. We have a news department that actually promotes them after they're in. We play their shows over multiple times.
Howard mentioned that his 23 million paid subscribers, these extremely loyal fans, should be used as a marketing tool for celebrities. He noted how
He did everything he could on the show, and now he's bored of that type of shit, and he's just a businessman, and he wants his show to keep growing. He's looking at it like a stock market.
Publicists beg to be on Oprah, Jimmy Kimmel, and competing interview shows. Howard wants his show to be the #1 destination for celebrities to do interviews, promote their work, or whatever business they're pursuing.
Finally get the artist up here, and they walk into the radio station, and we look like, some people around here look like zombies from Walking Dead. We look like a college radio station. We look like we have homeless people working here. And I gotta tell you something, it's off-putting and scary.
It's mind-bending to imagine Howard Stern being concerned about the way his employees dress when just a few years ago he was making fathers undress their daughters entirely nude for money. Guy spends 30 years unmercifully bashing people and then blames his staff when celebrities don't want to come on the show. Total fraud. Howard 20 years ago would have made fun of the guy he became today. He claims now that he is a reformed, changed man.
Oh, I get it. I get it. So, I get it. So, since Howard Stern did edgy content, people wouldn't go on his show anymore. Before that, he was having tons of celebrities on his show, and that was bringing his show up. But all his edgy content was getting him canceled. So he had to pretend, or maybe it's true, like he is some changed reform guy in order to try to get the celebrities on his show so he could think about retirement. This dude's getting fucking old.
That interests me zero, being as dirty as I want to be.
In his book, he writes about regrets for some of his past behavior, saying
he's doing this to have new guests on the show. I totally get it now.
He was self-absorbed and had a hard-ass pose that no longer works. He doesn't even want people to read his other books, including the 1993 bestseller turned blockbuster, Private Parts.
It just doesn't represent me anymore, so it's hard for me to go back and look at it. Those books, they could be hurtful, and they were a little too intense. At that point, my attitude was it was a scorched earth policy. I'm going to blow you out of the water. I'm going to be pure id, and bam, let it all out. That was my approach to it.
Howard says that he learned through therapy that he was hurting all those years. He was a jester, someone desperate for attention and status. He says he doesn't love the man he was, but he loves the man he is now. In the late 2010s, he started his mission to break the stigma regarding men's mental health. It was only a matter of time before people started digging through the skeletons in his closet, especially after he tried to deny his previous use of the N-word.
John, you use the N-word a lot. You said
I
really?
I used the N-word.
Yeah, you did.
Wait a second. Hold on before you say that. Whoopi, hold.
Well, his plan worked. He's on the show with this person, regardless if she got him on the show to grill him, even though he said he's a new person. Plan successful. He did not do a downfall. This whole entire episode, 33 minutes in out of 36-minute video. There was no downfall. He's still up here at the very end of the video doing big interviews on big TV shows. And let's end the talk. Boom. He still has a fucking show. Active. Howard Stone. Schedule. Boom. Let's check out the schedule. Thursday, February 1st is his next show. Which is today. Thursday, February 1st. Boom. Friday, February 2nd. Boom. Tomorrow's Friday, February 2nd. That's when he does his shows. He's active on the same thing that Patrick CC was talking about. So, my point is, if he didn't call this downfall and up, nobody would click it. Downfall is the popular topic on YouTube right now. If you liked that video, it's called The Dark and Disturbing Downfall of Howard Stern by Patrick CC. Thank you for watching this episode of Teeth Dagger Stream. If you liked this reaction, make sure to subscribe below.